Hello, welcome back to Oolykee Gaming and welcome back to another episode of Soviet Skylines Mod Monday. Today we have luxurious homes, Armenian opera house and a surprise. Right, as always, disclaimer, this is not promotion, this is some cute video I decided to make every Monday, something that caught my eye that I'm gonna be using. We have enormous amounts of beautiful mods, especially this Monday. There's at least 4 different maps that deserve to be in this episode. Unfortunately, I'm gonna be presenting only one of them. Go and check out our community, it's wonderful, we have such a good content creators there. First things first, Mr. Bremer, Hammer and Sickle Monument, a modernist looking hammer and sickle monument for your nation, because this game needs more monuments and more hammers and sickles. I could not agree more. So this is definitely, first of all, this is my favorite mod this Mod Monday. This is what it is about, all about making your nation more beautiful. And this is definitely what's gonna be needed for this. Now, if you go to your monument section under mods, all the way here, and you scroll all the way in the back where the latest models are, you can see here it requires 2,200 rubles to be finished. Now let's compare that to some of the monuments that we have in game. For example, Mr. Lenin, it's 8,000, 6,000 over here. This hammer and sickle, which is way bigger, it's a little bit more expensive, but definitely something in a decent price category, definitely something quite realistic. Mr. Novo and Tudor Education, a large wooden Tudor University, originally built in 1600s. It's made from primitive materials such as rough-hewn logs and rubble stone. Employs 30 workers, 30 professors. Also includes residential versions of the same model. Added row house, school and kindergarten, added side school, kindergarten house. It's the whole freaking thing, the whole shebang. As you can see, there's a lot of buildings here, so we have 11 buildings. You can see that some of them are residential areas, some of them are universities. So you can see here Tudor University. I would say that this is a medical political university. I'm not really sure which one is it. It's definitely not a technical one, because you don't have any research here. You have different buildings, as you can see here, athletic club, and you have side house. Some of them are, like we mentioned before, are residential ones, so you can build your whole city with in the same manner. Now, we're not gonna compare any of these with normal buildings, because they are made from more primitive materials, more fitting to the age, so this is going to be a little bit cheaper, but they do require, if we go to our mod section, if we go to show all mods and all the way in the back, they do require quite less material than normal size buildings. So I'm going to go real quickly through this. You can see here the materials required here is a lot of gravel, a lot of boards, but that's about it, and a lot of elbow grease. So they will be a little bit cheaper to construct, but just a heads up on that. Nevertheless, the beautiful buildings. Big Sports Hall by Mr. Rob074. Big Sports Hall, based on a real building in Lublin, Poland, employs 25 workers and serves about 175 people. It also works as a tourist attraction with score 2 stars. You have description in Polish as well. Now, this is something that really caught my eye. I was looking for some central sporting locations. So in the cities where I grew up, they had a lot of those open courts and even enclosed gymnasiums or sports halls, and this is more than enough that we need. It's a really high quality, high capacity sport complex, and definitely something you're gonna see in my Let's Plays. Now, does this compare to vanilla, or this is so good? This is so good. So on the right hand side we have the only enclosed area that is comparable to this, that would be indoor pool, because all the other sports facilities in vanilla game are on the open, and you cannot compare them because, you know, heating winter and having sports out there at that time. So we have Big Sports Hall here on the left hand side. It definitely looks like it's gonna be more expensive than vanilla building. So we have vanilla building or indoor pool requires 218 work days to finish. It does require 8.5 tons of steel and around 3.37 tons of bricks. What about this one? This is definitely knocks this one out of the ballpark, because it does require just under just under 3,600 work days to finish. It does require 43 tons of steel, 120 tons of bricks, yada yada yada, whole crap load of more expensive materials than vanilla building, so definitely quite realistic building. Riga Technical University by Raytheon. Thanks this mod. I'm not gonna read it. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna read this. I'm gonna let you read about this. Raytheon is creating absolutely beautiful mods. Most of the buildings from Riga, from Latvia, they are absolutely stunning. Of course, you have a Soviet insignia as well. This is a technical university. As you can see, if you go in, you have also research for this. Now, this has 100 workers, 350 teachers, and can serve 811 students. Now, that's a lot. That's a lot of students. Now, how does it compare capacity-wise to the vanilla one? If we go to vanilla education section, Technical University from Riga over here, and the one that we have here in the middle would be, this one services 4 times less people. 4 times less people are being serviced by the vanilla university, and the size-wise, they could be quite comparable. They look like they are the same size. Now, I'm gonna leave this to you guys. What do you think? Is this building too small, the one that Mr. Raytheon made, or should it service more people than 800 students? Now, this is 800 student capacity. Of course, it has a beautiful yard here and also bus parking spaces for your students that you want to deliver if you have your university outside of your cities. How does it compare price-wise? Right, so right hand side we're gonna have Technical University from vanilla. It's 5,200 days, and then we have the university, the Riga University, here on the left hand side. So it's 7,763 work days to finish. It does require more bricks, 4 times more bricks. It does require more or less the same amount of steel. It does require more boards. Concrete is a little bit less on the other hand. So it's comparable. It's comparable in price. It does require more work days to be finished, so I think it's something. It's definitely beautiful. I'm definitely going to be using it. The only questionable thing is this: can this service 800 students or not? Now, let me know in your comment section what do you think about that. Other than that, I'm going to be using this myself. Abelian Hike Opera House. Opera House based on a real building. Yerevan, Armenia, employs 50 workers. This is what I like about Mr. Abelian Hike, that he actually puts the coordinates of the building where it is located exactly, so you can go and check out how realistic these buildings are and how they look. But of course, as usual, this is beautiful details, as I'm already using a lot of these buildings from Yerevan, Armenia. I'm gonna be using this one as well. Absolutely beautiful work, and thank you so much for this. Please continue doing what you're doing. You have more details in a link in the description of the video. We're gonna compare it the price-wise with vanilla. Right, we're gonna compare it to the theater that we have in a tourist section of our tourism part of our game, and on the left-hand side we're gonna have the opera and ballet theater itself. So it does require 5,100 days, which is, wow, 3 times more work days to finish. It does require a comparable amount of steel, does require enormous amounts of bricks, boards, gravel, and the concrete. It's much less, but all in all, it seems like it's a more expensive building and more complicated to build. So definitely thumbs up in reality regarding comparison. Adolph Bergs Way social housing by Mr. Bremerd. What is this? Adolph Bergs Way, also known as Chicago Block Street, is a residential street in the city of Bergen, Norway. These social houses are well known within the city and feature 4-story high duplex housing. I put it as a luxury because I always consider a luxury to be duplex apartments. Duplex meaning that the apartment is extended through 2 different floors. It has really small capacity compared to how big building is. It's quite realistic population wise. I love it. It's definitely one of my favorite mods that I'm gonna be using. Okay, so 48 people. How does it compare to vanilla? So on the right hand side here we have flats brick 51 people, which is a little bit more than the mod over here, and it actually looks similar. It kind of looks similar, so I think it's quite a decent comparison of these 2 buildings. If we go to a mod section and find our building over here, that would be this one here, and you can see Adolph Berg Way building. 614 days to finish, while vanilla requires 518. It requires almost double the steel, requires a little bit less bricks. It does require, sorry, a little bit more bricks, and does require more concrete and a little bit less gravel. So definitely more expensive building than the vanilla you're gonna have there, and definitely much more beautiful. Of course, I installed a couple of skins as well that you can change the colors of those. It's really, really beautiful. Right, AI games, AIG Open Storage 3K Plus, Open Storage 3K Plus, capacity Open Storage 3000 tons, electro components, 50 tons of mechanical components, 100 tons, and so on and so on. So you can see here that this is a mixed storage that has mechanical and electrical components as well as the standard open storage components. Really, really beautiful building. Of course, I didn't populate it with any resources. We can go for real quickly to check out how it's going to look with resources, but unfortunately, we don't have time to put it all the way up to see how it looks when it's populated. I haven't done this in a while, so let's check it out. Of course, you have a closed storage here where the electrical and mechanical components are stored, and of course the outside storage over here with the rest of the components. Of course, it has 2 railroad connections, which is perfectly enough for any logistics area of your cities. Now, how does it compare to vanilla one? Right, on the right hand side, we're gonna have the open storage medium with the 1 railroad connection, and on the left hand side, we're gonna have, as soon as we find it, we're gonna have storage facility 3K plus, as you can see it here. Now, the vanilla one requires 520 work days to be finished. It does require 12 tons of steel, that would be vanilla one, and requires 2.6 tons of mechanical components. This one requires more mechanical components. It does require almost double the steel. Definitely something that's realistic. It does require bricks, 12 tons of bricks. That would be for the warehouse that needs to be connected, and of course more mechanical components. So all in all, it's equally more expensive to build this warehouse than it is with a vanilla one, so definitely big thumbs up in the realism section. So prize number 1, Cargo Seaport, Sea Cargo Port by Mr. Serpport. You're gonna have to read the description of this yourself. It's in a link of the video. It's absolutely amazing. It has 6 different construction, 6 different buildings. I'm gonna demonstrate all of them. So you have here, you have oil terminal, you have the container terminal, you have cargo terminal without any capacity, you have a bulk cargo terminal without any capacity, and plus 2 additional buildings for storing your bulk cargo and storing your cargo as a cargo warehouse. As you can see here, you have a small warehouse over here with a quite limited amount of resources, and of course you have a huge, enormous outside area for your cargo. And of course the container cargo is mixed together with its storage. It does have container storage there. You cannot see the capacity. And pumping harbor, of course, it doesn't have any. It has 504 tons capacity for fuel, but that will be for fueling your ships. So this needs to be connected to outside storage area. Right, so the only thing we have left here is to compare it to vanilla. How does it compare? Even though this is going to be used by myself, definitely it doesn't really matter. It looks absolutely beautiful. You can see amazing details, cleanliness of the construction. It looks absolutely beautiful. You have a container terminal over here. You can see big cranes with heavy counterweights, and the container area, unfortunately we didn't fill it, so you cannot see how it looks when it's filled fully. And of course you have your storage areas. One other thing I didn't mention because it's absolutely invisible, but this time's for real. So around here you have the anchorage areas. Unfortunately, you cannot see where exactly they are. I built 3 of them. You can see on the map. You can see here in the water on the map, right here. These are 3 anchorage areas for 1 ship each, so you can park your ships there. So that will be the 7th structure that you can build from this pack. Now let's try to compare it to vanilla. Okay, so let's compare these 2 harbors. So on the right hand side we're gonna have a container harbor, and in our mode section we're gonna have the other container harbor that you can see over here to the left. If I ever find it, Here we go, container terminal. You can see that the vanilla one on the right hand side does require 10,000 work days to be finished. It does require 1,000 tons of concrete and 339 tons of steel, while the modded one here requires almost twice as much steel. It does require a little bit less concrete than the vanilla one, but it does require electrical components, mechanical components, and other stuff like that, so definitely much more expensive thing. Now let's go for the oil pumping. So on the right hand side we have a pumping harbor that we constructed here. That would be the oil pumping harbor, the vanilla one, and we're gonna try to find here on the left hand side is the modded one. So we have 3,500 work days to finish the vanilla one, while this one is 5,500 days. It does require 3 times more steel. It does require same amount of concrete, so it's really quite realistic requirements for constructing it. And of course it does have mechanical components as well. I will not compare the rest of them because this is more expensive project, but definitely more beautiful model than vanilla one. So definitely this is something that you're gonna see in my Let's Plays. Right, I give you surprise number 2. Mr. Toprus is back. Realistic start Kameňohorské Podhorie. This is a new map. I'm gonna leave it to you. Actually, we can read because it's not a huge description. It's quite decent. My next map from the Realistic Start series. This time the map is located in the mountainside with a few river valleys. It is scattered with the destroyed infrastructure and industries all waiting for you to be rebuilt. This should add some realism to your gameplay. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about this. This is kind of classic Mr. Toprus, and he has quite a track record of making our life difficult with creating these hidden demolished railroads. When you're happy to see the railroad infrastructure on your map, you actually find out that most of it is demolished. You have to rebuild it and probably upgrade some of them. Now this is in his manner a really good map. You can see here it contains 2 big cities. You start with more or less population of 47,000 people. It does have huge infrastructure. I love his maps. He's really talented map maker, and I really appreciated these things. Now this is one of the reasons why we have only this map here, because definitely I believe it's the best one here, but this week was quite challenging to decide which map to take, because there's at least 4 different maps that are really good quality. I went with this one just because I'm a big fan of Mr. Toprus's work, and us and him making our life miserable by providing us with everything, and infrastructure is crumbling, so it's quite challenging to overcome some of his well, traps that he laid out for us. Now this map, you start with a lot of industries, but like I said previously, these industries are not really easily accessible, and they have to be extensively repaired before they are used. Of course, railroads, not only that you have mostly one-line railroads all over the map, they are also demolished everywhere, so you're gonna have to rebuild that and potentially upgrade the railroads. Of course, he has these cute telegraph poles next to the railroads, which also kind of makes it a little bit difficult for us to rebuild it. Now you have most of the villages and towns, they have train station next to it, and the infrastructure goes in every corner of the map, as you can see here, even these hillsides. It's a huge well, let's call it a river valley like he mentioned, and goes also everywhere. Unfortunately, I don't believe you will be able to use these rivers for successfully navigating container ships or whatever you want to put in there, but it's definitely nice detail and obstacle for you to pass, because you're gonna have to build a lot of bridges if you want to navigate these canyons. Now, what about the resources? Of course, you think you have a lot of resources, but they are usually in really hard accessible places. It's in the mountainside. You can see here coal. So I would say you have 2, maybe 3 good sources of coal where you can start mining it, but it's also difficult because it's the mountains. You're gonna have to get all your miners out there. Now iron is the similar story. It's not really too close to your population center, so it's going to be challenging. Now look at this trick. You think you have a lot of oil. Well, wrong. Most of this oil all the way in the south and all the way in the north, that's outside of your map, so you cannot tap into these. And then you have this bay over here on the right hand side that is really not good quality oil. So oil is going to be also one of those things that's going to be hard to get to. Of course, you have a couple of uranium sources, and I believe you're going to find mines there already, not in operation, but something that needs to be repaired. And of course, you have bauxite, and you can see here on the left hand side, this is already a bauxite mine connected to the train infrastructure that you need to just deliver people, electricity, and other amenities in order for this to be functioning. You can see it right over here. So you have a lot of infrastructure in place. You just have to fix it and get your rear end and start working off the chair and start working. Anyway, this is definitely my favorite map this Mod Monday, and of course 2 big beautiful cities that are going to be really challenging to repair. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna say that my favorite mod this Mod Monday is Hammer and Sickle Monument from Mr. Bernard. I'm gonna be using the hell out of that one. What do you think, guys? Did you enjoy this? If you did, don't forget to press the like button. If you didn't, leave a nasty comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, notification bell, ring it, comment section, hit it. And if you want to support the channel, you have description of the video. Guys, happy Monday. See you in the next one. Bye bye.